How's it going, guys, and welcome back to another update video. I'm your host, TheFatRat Gamer, and today the focus here is to talk about what has happened and talk about the future of the channel. So before I even get started, I just want to say thank you so much, guys, for all the support throughout the years and also to getting me into obtaining 1,000 subscribers. The second thing I do want to talk about is how long has it been, why I've been gone. And honestly, I've been gone because I was busy. I was busy with school. The second thing you might be wondering is, well, why is it that you have been streaming a lot if you've been so busy? The thing about that is how when it comes to creating videos, it actually takes a really long time to create them. You have to dedicate your time to record the videos, you have to dedicate your time to edit the videos. So the way it works, usually, recording the video is like 20%. Processing the video on YouTube and stuff, maybe making the thumbnail, tags, description, that's like another 20%. 60% of that time is just going to be editing. And the way I tend to do editing is I record the video, obviously, and then I go through the first stage of going through the video. So as I go, I cut out some parts, I do a little bit of edits if I want to do a little bit of an edit on it, and then I work as I go. And then after that comes the second round of editing, and that's just me, for the most part, reviewing all the material that I've done, every single edit that I've done, and see if I like it. Maybe I'm thinking it might need to be a little shorter. Maybe I might think it might be a little longer. Most of the time it has to be shorter. And I just go through that phase, make sure that everything is flowing fairly well. And sometimes I go to stage 3, which is another like round of just me looking at everything after all the changes, if there are any changes. And most of the time I don't go through that stage unless it's a really big and analytical video. So the only time I've really been in that stage for recent videos are going to be, for example, the crafting guide. One of the videos that hasn't really performed well, but it still is performing somehow, so I'm really happy about that for sure. The stage review videos are also one of them that did technically go to the third stage, not as much as my analytical videos, but it did technically go to the third stages. And also the winners and losers video, talking about the winners or losers of the summer update spell audit, the amazing and very drastic change in spells during that specific time period, that I went over absolutely everything. I even made a document for it and just referred to the document. It was kind of crazy, but we went over all of that, and that did go to the third stage. But most of the time videos go to the second stage, which most of the time the second stage doesn't even go all the way to what the second stage is. Most of the time it's just me reviewing what I did at the first time, and most of the time I tend to like it, so I just kind of keep it the way it was at stage 1. But it was just me to be able to review everything and just make sure that it flows well. So that's essentially how it is that I edit, and sometimes those edits can take a couple hours, sometimes they might even take days. The analytical videos usually tend to take days because I'm not just going to be on the screen all the time and just look at everything and do that very consistently for many hours. Like, I get tired. Eventually I want to take breaks, and I take breaks very often. But that's the reason why I haven't really been making videos, because they just take too much time, and all that time I would rather use to study for my classes and work on what I actually want to do, which is to hopefully become an electrical engineer. Now, if somehow YouTube does really well, then that's fantastic, but in the end of the day, YouTube for me is a hobby and it's not a job. So I'm taking priority of school over YouTube at that time period. And for streaming, it's actually a lot easier to stream, because all you really have to do is, number one, you have to dedicate some time to streaming. So whenever you're available, it's like, okay, I'm gonna stream at this time, end it at this time, and then after that I'll just go study or something. And then the second thing, obviously, is having the high energy. Just make sure that you have energy to entertain, make sure that you have the energy to obviously read chat and everything and be as entertaining as possible, because there are times where I don't really have any viewers when I stream. I mean, this has happened with one of the recent Prior 101 live streams, and I honestly don't really care. I act like if it's a video and I just go from there. That's usually how I tend to do it every single time. But streaming for the most part is just a dedication of time, and also being able to have that high energy, or as high as you possibly can have it be. So that's why I've been doing mostly streams rather than video making, because time reasons. It takes a long time to edit than it is to stream. And for those wondering as to how well has this gone since I've been mainly focusing on school, well, it actually went really well. Funny story, actually. During this week, or at least for a little bit more context, the previous week before this week, or in this case around the beginning of May, I got my COVID vaccine. It was the second dose of the Moderna shot, and the first time I had it, just a little bit of arm pain, and I was a little tired, and that was pretty much it. But the second dose of the shot, it was arm pain, I had headaches, I had a little bit of, you know, I'm not sure if it was a fever, but it was like half my body was super hot, the other half was kind of normal, and I felt very fatigued. And the thing that happened to stay for the most part was the tiredness. Like, I was just super lazy. I'm not usually a person who tends to take naps, but that specific week I was taking mostly naps. It was also during a time I was working at a closing store, so wow. The idea was, okay, I come back home and then I study for the exam so that I have time to, you know, have some tutoring done before I take the exam. None of that happened. Most of the time was just me procrastinating, and it was mostly just me being super tired. Like, I just didn't want to do anything. I couldn't really do anything. I did study for a little bit, but most of it was just me being super tired almost all the time. I didn't really sleep well on that Monday with the vaccine. And then Tuesday and Thursday were the days I was working at the closing store from like 9 to 5. And again, didn't really have as great of a sleep, but I mean, it was there. The times I were off, like I believe Monday, and I think I was also off Saturday, I actually didn't really do anything. Most of the time it was just me being super tired, and I just didn't really want to do anything. Like, every time I just sit down on this chair, I'm like, yeah, this is super comfortable, but my bed is a little bit better. And most of the time I was just laying down, and then eventually somehow just take naps almost the whole day. So that lasted for a while, and then comes Monday and Tuesday. So I was over here like, okay, on Sunday I did do a little bit of studying so that I can be a little bit in the head start. Did mostly studying Monday, and then Tuesday the plan was to take the exam, and take the exam around the evening, and then before then I'll just be studying to, you know, ease up on the rustiness and just improve my skills and refresh my mind on everything that I've done throughout the semester for Calculus 2. So really, here comes the time where I was taking the exam. Before then there was a storm, and you would think that the power will go out during the storm. Surprisingly, it didn't. So once the storm was done, I was like, okay, perfect time for me to take the exam, because surely there wouldn't be a power outage. There was a power outage. Right then and there, as I was taking the exam, 30 minutes in, the power goes out, and there wasn't even any storm. It just went out, and I texted, like, you know, the electric company, letting them know, it's like, hey, my power went out, when is it coming back on? They said it was coming back on like around 9:30. It came back around like 8 o'clock. At first I was kind of chill, because I was like, okay, I'll just resume the exam when I come back, it's no big deal. And during that time, I was actually in one of the problems, and I wrote it down and everything. I was literally at the verge of just solving it. So I was like, okay, since the power's down, you know, my mom basically gave me a candle, put it next to me, and I was able to see while working out my problem, so that I could just get that finished early, and then when I resume, I at least finish that problem and just keep going and give myself more time to think. So I did that problem, and then the power comes back on after like an hour or so, and I try to resume the exam. For some reason I couldn't resume the exam because Proctorio just really sucks, and I emailed my professor because I was like, oh well, that sucks, let me just email my professor, maybe she'll give me the chance to resume the exam. So I didn't get a message back. And then I emailed her 2 more times because I was like, oh, maybe she didn't see it. You know, I was being that annoying student now. But to be fair, it was the final, and in order for me to pass the class, I at least had to make a 25 in the final. But to just not finish the final is really bad because I just barely started. And if we were to go based on what I just did right then and there, more than likely I would have failed the class because I just couldn't finish the final, which sucks. And obviously it's right for me to panic for sure. And next thing you know, I went to a call with my friends, just kind of stressing about the whole thing. I went to sleep, but then I couldn't sleep because obviously I haven't received a message back from my professor, and I was like really stressed about the final because I was thinking, oh, what if I can't do it before the deadline, and then I can't have a second chance to take the final or resume where I left off because of power outage. Like, it would suck. It, like, at the end of the day, it will really suck. So comes next morning, I was waking up like at 1:30 a.m. I woke up like at 1:50 a.m. I woke up at like 6 a.m. I woke up at like 7 a.m. And then I woke up like around 7:30, and I just stayed awake at 7:30 because it was during the time where kids were going to school, and I just couldn't really sleep anymore. So then comes that time, and I still haven't got a response from my professor, but I tried again to see if I could take the exam. Still couldn't take the exam. So finally comes the time that 10 o'clock nears, and it was already the deadline. So before then, I just made myself a coffee so that I can just make sure that I have the energy to take the exam in the first place. And finally, my professor emails me back and apologizes for not responding. Apparently, she just doesn't seem to respond around the evening hours and goes back to her emails around 10 a.m. So it kind of sucked, but at the same time, she did allow me to resume the exam. I asked her if I can take it before the end of Wednesday, so that I can just, get the exam done and just say that I finished it. And she allowed it. I take the exam, a couple of curveballs now and then, but overall, I managed to finish the exam. So for those wondering as to, number one, it was super stressful, in case you were wondering. Number two, the other thing that I don't know yet is my score for the exam. I'll let you know as it comes through if I pass. If I didn't pass the exam, well, you already know that I passed the course, because all I needed to do was make a 25 to pass the course. And more than likely that's what I did, because it felt fairly easy overall, despite how rusty I was with some of the previous material that I've learned throughout the semester. So finally, let's talk about the plans for the channel, since I've been mostly ranting about my life and just many other things. Number one, I want to get back to streaming on both Twitch and YouTube. Since it is the summer, I have the time to do so. I won't have like an exact schedule for this, and it's mainly just because I work in retail, and with working in retail, your schedules are usually never set in stone. Most of the time they vary. One day I could be working Monday, the next day I could be off Monday. One time I could be working Friday, the next time I'm off Friday. So that's usually how it is with retail, at least where I work in. So there's not going to be any sort of set schedule. However, the idea is for me to make more videos and also to stream a handful of times, way more than I've done throughout my time at being in school for the spring semester. So what are the plans in terms of Twitch and YouTube? So like I said a couple of times before, YouTube is going to be mainly for story-based games. So we're talking about games like Persona 5, Persona 4, which I will come back to that as well. I know I forgot about Persona 4, but that will come back. And even the Pyro 101 Nuzlocke series, since we are technically doing the story on that, and also because it was a main thing on YouTube and it's going to stay on YouTube. Things that we'll be doing on Twitch is going to be just the general other things. I do personally believe that Genshin Impact might be better for me to stream on Twitch rather than YouTube. It doesn't necessarily do as well on YouTube, and it's probably not going to do as well on Twitch either, but at the same time, I just personally feel like it might be better to do it on Twitch than YouTube. The other thing being is I'll be having Quest and Chill streams for both Wizard 101 and Pyro 101. That way we can get started with upcoming project videos that will be coming to YouTube, hopefully before the end of summer, talking about the various 2 games and just many more things that I don't want to spoil too much for you guys. Next thing really is Stitch review is going to be coming very soon. I need to talk to my friend that I plan collaborating with so that we can get a set date to collaborate with each other about this Stitch review and just get that sorted out. And there's also going to be many more project videos on the way for YouTube. PvP, obviously, we'll be coming back to doing PvP content. I do probably need to get the gear, so maybe I might stream that on both YouTube and Twitch so we can get that sorted out fairly quickly. And finally, you know, do some PvP content right then and there. And obviously, we'll be having another walkthrough series, but this time it will be a Wiz walkthrough series, being the Wizard 101 walkthrough series for Death, because Death is like one of the best schools in my opinion for PvE. It's super fun to do, and I'm not sure what I'll do to make it special, but more than likely I'm just doing it because I want to be up to date with the Wizard 101 story, since I haven't really paid much attention to it since like the middle of second arc. And that's pretty much it. More stuff will be coming in the future. Just stay tuned. You know, follow me on Twitter if you haven't. Check my community tab if you haven't. Those are the best ways to stay up to date about the future content. But other than that, hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Once again, thank you for 1,000 subscribers, and we're still going to be pushing to do more, and we're going to be pushing to make an even bigger family in the Frenzy family. And as always, remember to stay frenzy. Peace.